Right ahead on 12 News, preparing for a crisis. Police leaders who've had their communities ripped apart by mass shootings pay a visit to Brooklyn Park. Then, something experts say we don't take seriously enough. What it is and the not-so-easy way of tracking down the culprits. But first, criminal charges filed against a former Cooper High School staff member. 12 News starts right now. A former Cooper High School staff member is in the Hennepin County Jail charged with criminal sexual conduct.
Tajreed Rich was an educational assistant and worked as a hall monitor at the school. District officials say he also worked security at football games. Court documents show he provided counseling to students. One of those students he counseled, he's accused of having a sexual relationship with. According to the criminal complaint, the 41-year-old Rich and a female student had sex on 2 occasions. During the second occasion, the girl's father walked in on them and called police.
I mean, he's 41, she's 17, she's vulnerable, he's a hall monitor. I mean, the charge here is a position of authority. You know, I think parents have a right to expect when their kids are at school that people who are employed by that school are not going to mess with their daughters or sons for that matter.
The Robbinsdale School District sent out a voicemail telling parents of the arrest. It also released a statement saying, quote, "This is a horrible incident and the district finds acts such as this reprehensible. The safety and well-being of our students is our top priority," and the statement says our hearts go out to the family during this time. Rich was a Cooper employee for 2.5 years. He admitted to police that he had sex with a female victim who he described as a vulnerable student. Rich told authorities that he knew better than to have a sexual relationship with a student. In the wake of recent mass casualty shootings, law enforcement and community members want to be ready for that next event.
The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office held an active shooter training session that featured guest speakers whose towns were tested in a tragic event. Renee Bonneau joins us with more. Renee?
Mike and Alex, the roughly 400 attendees of this training session got a feel of the chaos involved in a mass shooting through the words of Newtown, Connecticut Police Chief Michael Kehoe.
I had the utmost confidence in the officers I was with that day, and that I knew we were going to survive and we're going to stop that threat as soon as possible.
The group also heard from an officer who responded to the Sikh temple shooting in Oak Creek, Wisconsin last August. Both men stressed the need for law enforcement to be up to date on emergency response training to deal with the unpredictability of mass shootings. You're looking at video we shot 2 years ago during a training exercise at a school in Brooklyn Park. Law enforcement says drills like this that involve schools, churches, and other community members help make response to crises easier.
Planning and working with your local community partners is definitely important. They did stress incident command and having people trained to work together, especially in a large-scale incident such as this, because you'll have a lot of community partners trying to show up and work together.
Active shooters and mass casualties are more frequent in this country than any other country. Okay, we have to be prepared for it as a society and as law enforcement officials to respond effectively and to try to prevent them.
Sheriff Rich Stanek says Hennepin County is working with all its police departments to set a training standard to better prepare everyone for an emergency. And Mike and Alex, the officers also mentioned the need for prevention, and that could include identifying and treating people with mental illnesses.
All right. Who better to hear it from than those who've gone for?
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, Renee. The Minnesota Department of Health is warning people to be on the lookout for ticks.
Well, last year, because of the dry weather, ticks weren't a big problem, but that won't likely be the case this time around. Sonia Goen shows us what one group is doing to keep tabs on the ticks.
Company picnic. We're going to have food catered in.
Tessa Grudel is setting up for an office picnic. There's one guest that's not welcomed at this gathering.
I'm very worried about ticks. I don't like ticks at all.
She has activities set up in the woods, and she's hoping the ticks won't want to join in on the fun and games.
They suck your blood. And they're gross and they're creepy, and you don't see them until they're crawling all over you, and just creeps me out.
These are our traps.
Metropolitan Mosquito Control is also on the lookout for ticks. The group keeps tabs on ticks
so this one wasn't visited.
by setting out traps to catch forest rodents.
This still has food in it, so that's that.
A lot of people think that deer have something to do with spreading Lyme disease, but really it's these small little forest rodents.
We deployed the traps yesterday.
Once mosquito control catches the animals, They'll take them back to the lab.
3 trapped mice.
Then they'll check to see what types of ticks are feeding on the animals.
We're seeing a lot of ticks out right about now. There are also wood ticks, and they usually come out a little bit earlier, but like everything else, it's been pushed back because of the late spring we've had.
That's what we're after.
By tracking the ticks, they can determine where the ticks are migrating.
Over time, we've been seeing more and more deer ticks in the northern and western parts of Hennepin County.
If you do go out in the woods, wear bright colored clothing. The ticks will be easier to spot, and stay on the trails where you're less likely to encounter ticks.
They don't like coming out into the open areas. If you're going to be camping, spending a lot of time in the woods, you might want to consider putting on a spray that's designed to repel or kill ticks.
In Maple Grove, Sandy Goins, 12 News.
Well, you should also check for ticks after being out in the woods. Experts say a deer tick can stay on you for a couple of days before spreading the bacteria that causes Lyme disease.
There will soon be another way to get a taste of Surly beer. The Brooklyn Center City Council has approved a taproom license at Surly's headquarters on Ducharme Drive. Surly also received legislative approval this past session. State law previously did not allow breweries to obtain taproom licenses in cities that also operate municipal liquor stores. The owner plans to build a special seating area for patrons. The taproom would be open from 3 to 10 Wednesday through Friday evenings and from noon to 10 on Saturdays and Sundays.
Meantime, a long-delayed redevelopment project may be back on track in Brooklyn Center. A developer wants to rebuild the former Howe Fertilizer site into office and warehouse space. The project has been stalled for 5 years due to cleanup of polluted soil after a fire in the 1970s. But the developer says he has new assurances now from the State Agriculture Department. They must approve a cleanup plan.
We've recently completed what we've been assured is the final round of testing on the site here 2 weeks ago. We expect to submit the results of that testing here in the next 3 weeks, and we're assured that we will have a cleanup plan approved here in time for a November 1 grant application.
The Brooklyn Center wants to get that project moving along, partly because the site has been the target of vandals.
The 2014 elections are still more than a year away, but that's when a big change will occur for Minnesotans voting absentee. Secretary of State Mark Ritchie talked about some of the election changes with members of the Golden Valley Rotary. One of the biggest changes is that voters will now be able to vote absentee without having to provide an excuse or a justification for voting early.
They don't have to lie or check a box, or, there's been a kind of a unspoken uncomfortableness in Minnesota because we've had this very old-fashioned rule that you had to have a broken leg or something before you could vote absentee.
After 2 terms in office, Ritchie recently announced that he would not seek re-election for a 3rd term in 2014. It's no fun when child's play turns into a hospital visit.
Next in Health Check, tips to prevent playground mishaps. Then later in sports, Wayzata's baseball team gets set for its first appearance in the state tournament in almost 25 years.
But first, it's a look at your AccuWeather forecast.
The former Grand Rios Hotel is coming down. Demolition crews started their work this week. The former hotel and water park is set to become a used car dealership. The Grand Rios closed 2 years ago when a bank took over ownership. CarMax bought the property and plans to build a 52,000 square foot used car dealership. It's expected to open next year. To the surprise of loyal customers, Uchu Peruvian Cuisine restaurant has closed in Plymouth. A Facebook post thanked customers for their support of the restaurant. It did not specify a reason for the closure. Uchu opened in 2011, occupying a spot in a strip mall off Rockford Road. Well, neighborhood parks are a busy place this time of year with children and parents looking to spend some quality time outdoors.
But even parks aren't completely injury-proof. In today's Health Check, Delane Cleveland shows us how to avoid playground-related injuries.
We like this park. We like to come here a lot.
The neighborhood park is a natural draw for children and parents alike. Even a day when the weather is less than perfect.
Well, we're even out here if it's snowing, so.
Can't keep Crystal Cluck stuck at home.
This winter has been kind of brutal, So we just like to come out and run around, get some energy out.
For many kids, getting energy out at the playground involves climbing on anything and everything.
I definitely worry about broken bones, especially, like I said, these guys are very active, so they fall a lot.
According to Hennepin County officials, she has reason to feel that way.
The majority of the injuries we see happen from falls from high surfaces. So kids love to climb, they love to jump.
The Centers for Disease Control reports that emergency departments nationwide treat more than 200,000 children for playground-related injuries each year.
What we see most are fractures, arm fractures, leg fractures. You can also hit your head.
It's Julie Philbrook's job to prevent those injuries from happening.
Teaching them how to share the equipment is really important.
She says one of the places where a serious playground injury could occur is on a ladder.
If they're wearing flip-flops or poor shoes, they can get hung up. Flip-flops are a real problem with playgrounds.
Another key thing to look out for is the surface area of the playground itself.
They've got the sand on, which is a great surface, but it probably needs to be replenished. You can see that it's low here. There's still some cement that's exposed.
The more sand on the ground, the more protection kids have if they take a spill.
You'd want to have more surface below you the higher you go.
She says the important thing is for adults to be attentive and supervise their children.
I always watch the kids as much as possible, no matter what, because nowhere's really safe.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Straight ahead, Tuesday night is movie night. See how you can take in a motion picture outdoors.
But first in sports, highlights from the opening day of the state golf tournament. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back. John Jacobson now with a look at sports. Been kind of a long drought for Wayzata baseball at the state tournament. Haven't been there in a while, and now they get a chance to go.
Right, yeah, a tough first-round draw for them, but yeah, they're
some good
excited
pitching.
to be there, yes. It has been almost 25 years since a team from Wayzata High School made the state baseball tournament, but that drought is over now. Jason Malillo has a preview of the state-bound Trojans.
The Wayzata baseball team is gearing up for the state tournament. It's the first time this program will play at state since 1989.
We didn't really know the exact year, but we knew it hadn't been a while since we had to, so it's kind of special for us to get back there again. It's kind of exciting to be like that class to get us back on track.
Resiliency and a never-say-die attitude are crucial attributes in postseason play, and the Trojans have both. In the section tournament, Wayzata played its way out of the losers bracket, ultimately beating Edina twice to win the section title.
I don't think we ever really did lose hope because we'd beaten Edina twice during the regular season. We lost to Hopner in the regular season and then the first game in the playoffs, but I think we had kind of always had it in the back of our mind that he was nothing too special that we couldn't overcome, and then we proved that in the second game or the last game in sections.
We knew going into that last day we'd have to beat both of their, future D1 pitchers, and we played every inning like it was our last, and worried about the score when we were at the end, and it was an exciting run.
Wayzata is also a team that doesn't seem to be intimidated, and that will be important in the first round. The Trojans face top seed Coon Rapids and most likely the Cardinals' ace pitcher, Logan Shore.
You know what I keep telling the boys is regardless of who's pitching, the strike zone's the same. They have to throw it in there, and that gives us a chance to swing, so that's all we're looking forward to.
Wayzata has become a very confident group throughout the season and benefited from contributions up and down the roster. Now, it's one and done and 3 more wins for a state title. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
Wayzata and Coon Rapids play at 10 o'clock Thursday morning at Midway Stadium in the Class 3A quarterfinals. It's state tournament week in Lacrosse, too, with the girls and boys fields expanded from 4 teams to 8 this spring. The opportunities are much greater to reach the tournament. 2 local boys squads met in today's quarterfinals as Champlin Park faced Totino-Grace. Ryan McNeil gets out front and scores for the Rebels. He nets a hat trick in the first quarter. Gage Wanson makes a run, takes the hit, and still scores. Champlin Park builds a 5-0 lead. Grace responds. Josh Regenovich spins away from the defender and fires in a goal. Then it's Colin Patterson scoring for the Eagles, and the lead is cut to 5-3 after 1 quarter. In the second, Luke Dahlman knocks the ball loose in front and scores for Champlin Park as the Rebels try to rebuild their lead. Grace hangs around, but McNeil gets a big goal with 2 seconds left in the third quarter. The Rebels advance with a 12-9 win. We'll have highlights of the Armstrong-Blake and Champlin Park Eden Prairie girls games starting Wednesday at 4 on 12 News. The state golf tournament teed off today with opening round play at 3 sites. Action from the Class 3A boys at Bunker Hills. This is Maple Grove's Jackson Lanou. He rolls in a par putt on Bunker Hill's west second hole. Lanou shoots a round of 77 for the day. His teammate Jake Herdine also qualified for state. His birdie try here misses left, but he taps it in for par. He also shoots a 77. The two Maple Grove guys are tied for 29th place after the first round. Wayzata's team made state as the Trojans make a bid for another Class 3A title. Tom St. Martin with a par on the West Course's first hole. He shoots a 73 today and is tied for 7th place overall. Will Holmgren comes up just short on his birdie try on the par 3 third. He cards around a 77. The Trojans' Jack Holmgren hits one of the great shots of the day on the par 5 second hole. He chips it toward the cup and in for a birdie. Jack Holmgren shoots a 1-under par round of 71 as in second place, 2 shots behind Winona's William Leaf. Here are the team scores after the first day. Wayzata leads by 2 shots over Forest Lake and 3 over Eden Prairie. Lakeville North is in 4th place after 18 holes. Rogers is 8th of 8 teams. The girls had the afternoon tee times and are still on the course at this taping of 12 News. We'll have their highlights again in Class 3A coming up Wednesday at 4. And that's a look at sports.
Good golf. They make it
Yeah.
look easy, don't they? Thanks, John.
Still ahead, something that needs the rain to go away.
An old-fashioned outdoor movie experience is coming up next.
Making a human being is really hard. I have no control over my body or my emotions. Scare Bear, I'm sorry. All I want to do is punch you in the face.
Well, Tuesday night is movie night. At least if you're in Osseo, you can catch a movie every Tuesday night during the summer at Bear Boom Park across from City Hall. Tonight is What to Expect When You're Expecting, and movies begin at 8:30 p.m. Also on the schedule this summer, Hunger Games, The Avengers, and Rock of Ages. So hopefully you'll have some good weather. And we were talking about these movies. I've only seen Rock of Ages.
Tom Cruise, right?
Tom Cruise, yeah.
If you like Tom
that's
Cruise,
fun.
yeah.
It's a fun movie, yeah. Kind of humorous.
I think I missed a whole decade for movies.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.